Okay, welcome back to the Scope podcast. We've got a very special guest coming up later in the podcast, but me and the Team Rocket Boys are back for week 8, boys. Week 7 wasn't so nice to Jesse this time around, but Jim set himself a target. He wanted a bit of Jesse's best, and we're not going to talk about what happened in the best this week. Jim, I just want you to bathe in this. It was only a place, but geez, it was a nice place.
Oh, it was. And then it got a bit of money back. I thought we started the day well. The kitty's built up. Let's go. The rest is home. No fucking good.
Yeah, not the best finish, mate, but I'm happy to see you finally get a week over Jess, mate. You're well overdue. Yeah. And you know what? I think you're trending, mate. I think we're about to hit something.
It's like crypto.
Yeah.
Crash, come back up. Once you hit that peak, it's huge.
It crashes.
Fucking huge.
All right, let's get straight into it, boys, because we've got Tommy Berry waiting for us. There's a little sneak peek for a little bit later on for people that can listen to the rest of the pod. Jim, have you got either of you boys? Have you got Tommy on any of this card coming up, or are you looking forward to a couple of his horses?
Oh, there's definitely a few.
Remark will be one we're both going to have some money on at Randwick Race 8. Is big overs, but
and the Mighty Hulk. We're a fan of the Mighty Hulk, so
it's got to turn around
soon. Wait, shout out, Jess. This looks nice, baby. What's up?
Cheers, bro. Yeah, sneaky little shout out. I'm sponsoring the pod.
Yeah, beautiful. This pod brought to you by Jesse Morris.
Check me out. I'm part designer, part punter. Can't do anything.
What's the tag, mate? What's the Instagram? What's the Instagram tag?
Instagram at the moment's true to self. Either jump on my page at Jesse W. Morris and the link, the attachments there. But that's Juzzy in this one. This is another one. Jimmy's copped as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Fits like a glove, Jess. So well done, mate. So let's roll straight into it, boys. This is where Jesse does his best work, but he's also about to do his best work on the weekend. Jess, I'll let you open up. You going to Doomben, mate?
Yeah, so I'm heading to Doomben in race 3. I'm not sure if you remember, but I had this as my best value play its last prep. Yeah, the Mighty Tremonto. So he drops back in grades big time for this run. Like he was running in group races last prep. He meets very well in the weights. It would be unreal if he was on a soft track up there. But again, his run last prep was on a good track, and like most of us that were on Tremonto that day, we thought he was home. So if he continues to carry that form line into this race, I literally just think it's a matter of like it being the class horse and then going to bigger and better things.
Yeah, grouse, mate. Jim, straight into you. You're over at Flemington, and it's another horse that you've talked up before. And I like it as well, as you know.
Yeah, I know you love her, Skip. She's a back marker, so we love riding them home. But yeah, race 4 at Flemington. We're going Lindhout again. She's currently $2.80 the win, which is massive overs. And the big thing on the weekend is we get the boy Froggy Newitt back on. Respectfully to Carleen Heffel, you just can't get done. But
actually, not even respectfully. We're happy for fucking Froggy. We're stoked for Froggy Newitt back on it.
We weren't happy you give him 14 lengths to make up. But Froggy Newitt back on board will be the huge key. And then the track's drying out, and her sectionals have been like unbelievable on the wet track. And with the drying track, I just think, Froggy Newitt takes her straight to the back, gets her clean air up to the clock tower, and I reckon she starts a lot shorter than the $2.80 because, she had a lot of market support last start into $1.90, and she almost like overcome with that big obstacle, almost won. And now we're getting $2.80 this week for a horse that should have won last start. I reckon it's good odds.
Yeah, I dare say Froggy won't be getting it back 14 at the best. So I've already chucked it in a couple of multis and selected it myself, mate. So let's go, Jimmy. We're riding that one home together again. Let's get on to your value bet of the weekend, mate. You're staying in Flemington. A couple of races later.
So staying in Flemington, the next race later. Flemington, race 5. We're going Miss Albania. She's currently $7 and $2.45. So we'll go her. I reckon we just go her 50-50 skip.
I've already put each way for both of them, by the way. Sorry, boys. Sorry to cut you off there, Joe.
So last start, she was going around $2.10 favourite at Caulfield on a day where it was impossible to lead into that headwind. Yep. It was a soft 7 or something. She still almost beat home La Mexicana and Plaquette. She only just went down to him. It's her first time looking at the straight, but front runners are normally a horse that can still do well down the straight. So she's drawn wide. Liam Reardon will just jump, get it to that outside lanes, and I think she'll just sustain a good speed. And she's the horse with the most upside in that. And second up, drier track. I reckon she's a good play.
Yeah, I don't mind Oxley Road in that race. Actually, it's a horse that I've followed before as well. Any worries with Oxley Road?
Yeah, so they've moved the rail out 8 meters, and the track course person has predicted the middle to the outside lanes to be the better going. So that's why I think Oxley Road, if you like him, I reckon leave him till late because I reckon he comes out on the toe because I think it's about 420 or something.
Currently 480.
Yeah, 480. So I reckon you'll get over $5 for him. And I wouldn't be surprised if more money comes for Miss Albania because she's not facing a La Mexicana or Plaquette this start, and I just reckon they let her roll out in front, and she takes a stack of catching.
Yeah. All right. What about yours, Jess?
So mine, I'm heading to Randwick, race 4. I'm on re-edit, and I think we got anyway 650 and 220.
We did.
So there's been a bit of early market support. Flies fresh as well, re-edit. I watched its trial last night and it trialed well into this. We've got Huey Bowman on board who's in form.
Yep.
It will be a good track. Yeah, as you know, we've had blue skies for a good week or two now. Hopefully Randwick plays even. I was a bit weary that because last week at Randwick, was it last week? Last week at the start of the meet until at least race 6, you had to be on speed.
Yep.
But fingers crossed that's not the case this time around because re-edit will go back from the inside draw and then hopefully be motoring home late for a strong finish.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, what about in the head-to-head, boys? I'm going to jump in for the head-to-heads this week. We're going to Flemington. We're going we're going the World Horse Ori's Star. Where are you going, Jess, in this race?
Me and Jimmy clashed heads a few times over this one, but I got the upper hand.
You should see the group chat. If you think these boys argue right now on the podcast, you should see me having to rein them back in the group chat. It's fucking hilarious.
I've got dad in there.
I got a baby sister. What can I say? It does me fucking head in.
Best thing is we're usually next to each other when we're arguing in the group.
Sitting on the couch messaging me. I'm just like, I'm sitting at home and they're just going, fuck this.
Gets his knickers in a knot.
Anyway, I'm on Banquao in that race, so it's a bit risky as he's drawn inside barrier 3.
Yep.
But fingers crossed, they're not trying to favour wider down in the straight. But it'll be third up for this run, and after Laney finished up on it in its second up race, I think Jimmy had it in the SPC that day.
So that was my best each way.
It looked like it was going to win the race, and then it just kind of got lost and didn't want to go in front of the astrologist on the day. And Damien Lane went to the trainers and said, you need to slap blinkers on it.
Yep.
So he meets the astrologist 2.5 kilos better. They're predicting a good track, which the drier, the better for it. And with the blinkers going on, hopefully it's just a matter of Laney stalking someone and then finishing over the top this time. So that's literally why I'm jumping on board for it.
I'm hoping for a similar pattern on mine, and you can tell Jimmy's pretty confident because you feel like he was ready to chip in because he wanted to select as well, but he's gone somewhere else, mate. You've gone too good, too hard.
Yeah, too good, too hard. Around $10 and
it's
$3.30.
It's not an omen bet.
It's not an omen.
Once I get hard, it's doomed. The girls are done.
Yeah, my omen bet would be too little, too soft.
Surely there's some stenoma in there.
No, it does its best work late, mate, but very late.
Not the size of the one.
You're running a Melbourne Cup.
All right. So, yeah, I'm on Too Good, Too Hard. So, we've drawn wide in barrier. I think we've got barrier 11.
Yep.
Or barrier 10. And, yeah, we're down low in the weights. It's been running well this prep. Last start finished 1.7 lengths off Savatoxel. Or Sava 2 XL, sorry.
Yep.
And Sava 2 XL ended up winning the Group 1 at Goodwood sprint race, I think it is, at Morfettville or whatever the Group 1 is. So that form stacks up pretty well. And he was $2. She was $2.40 favorite that day against Sava 2 XL. So that says she has got enough ability. She's ran down the straight before. She finished second to Fiesta last prep, and she got held up and got out heaps late. So I'm hoping Willie Price just gets on the back of something, can stalk him majority of the way, and then get her out just after that clock tower down the outside fence, and hopefully she can cause a boil over what is a very tough little race.
Yeah,
there's some genuine Group 1 horses, but yeah, hopefully we get a boil over there and the kitty builder. Yeah,
well, there's plenty of chances then, and one of my horse is one of them as well. I am going Miss 100 Wins, Jamie Carr, and on Asa. Yeah, it hasn't won at the distance in its short career. It's probably better at second up on its form line in its short career, but I'm hoping a bit like you boys. You know, in these sorts of races, anything can happen, and generally the best horse that gets the best run in transit will sort of come over top, because it's quite even, quite an even field. So you might be a big chance of finding out what the winner is in the first maybe 200 or 300 metres by the time they settle. And I know it's not coming down the straight, but we'll have a good idea how well we're going. Think about 300 or 400 metres in the race, eh, boys?
Yep.
Yeah, well, hopefully the whole track's even for that race, because if it's not, yourself and Jimmy will have a great chance if the better going's going out wide.
Yep.
But if it's closer to the inside rail, I think I've got yours.
Yeah, when they start splitting like that too, and you can see one of the packs kicking away, geez, that's a nice feeling.
It's like one stuck in the mud, one pack.
Well, you know, the thing is too, whenever that happens, like it's like it starts to play out like that. Generally, I'm fucking on one of the horses that's in the pack of 3 when the 15 of the best are on the fucking.
I'm fucking riding the whole way, doing nothing,
coming up riding against the crowd. Yeah. All right, boys, a couple of sports bets before we get into Tommy Berry as well. I'm also going to chip in with one I like, and it's going to be featuring my team, the Bird Gang. We'll go, Jimmy.
Yeah, so I'm hitting tonight's game, the 6 o'clock game with the Raiders and the Dragons. So we're playing it safe with the Raiders head-to-head. I think they bounced back after last week's poor effort. We're going Harley Smith Shields anytime try scorer, just because the Dragons will be very vulnerable on that edge with Cody Ramsey and stuff defending out there. And then with Lowy back in the centres, the Dragons should push more of their attack down to their right-hand edge. And I reckon Lowy sets up Mika Ravalala for an anytime try scorer, and that's paying $4.50. So
they were grouse to start the start of the year. Them two had a really nice combination happening.
Yeah, Lowy loves that bounce out and then the flick pass. I reckon that's what he does tonight. So I reckon Mika gets a meat pie as well.
Beautiful, Jim, and you're on the later game. Jess, sorry.
Yeah, so I'm on. So we come up short last week on South by 1 try, but I'm going for the South game again. I'm going to have a -5.5 line against the Eels.
Alternate line. Yep.
I think I'll turn up a bit this week with Moses back, and I'm going to run anytime try scorers of Mitchell and Walker. So I expect Mitchell to have a big game again, and I reckon I can see Walker having a close crack towards the line for himself and getting a meaty.
Talking out of his ass, he won't even watch the game.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, he must be watching highlights because he knows Trell's in form, and even Cody, mate. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a footy genius to know that fucking Rabbitohs have been scoring some tries on that left-hand edge.
It's like going, is LeBron James a chance for MVP? It's just fucking nonsense.
I've got good inside goss. I've got good inside goss.
You do, mate. You get some good information, Jess. I know that. All right, boys, I'm going to stay with obviously the game of the round, the game that everyone's looking forward to, Manly versus Melbourne. I think it's going to be a close affair, boys, so I'm going either team under 10.5. I've got the form player of the competition, Tom Turbo Travojevic, anytime. He's $2 anytime, by the way. I know Melbourne do a good job of, stopping the better players, but that's still jam. And a guy who has saluted for us, Jess, on our bet a couple of weeks ago, the Fox. When we had jerseys number 2 and 5, the Fox knows how to find the try line. And believe it or not, boys, that's $6.50. That's huge. I'm not going to lie too. Just like with Jess, when you gave me the jam a couple of weeks ago, that I said straight away, that's a nice bet. I had a degenerate message me on Instagram, and he sent me this bet. So I forgot his name right now, but once I seen that, I'm not afraid to go. You know what? That's a fucking good bet, and I'm going to have a crack at it as well. So before we get Tommy Berry on, boys, thanks again for Team Rocket. All the best again, Jim, tomorrow, and we'll roll into Tommy Berry, boys. Let's do it.
Let's get it.
Okay, welcome back to the Scope podcast, and we're joined. Well, this is the Team Rocket podcast in the BSC content studio, and we've got a very special guest today. A 30 wins, Group 1 win jockey, Tommy Berry in the house, mate. Thanks for joining us. Before we get into some racing stuff, mate, just Jimmy was telling me you're doing a little bit of core and some running away from the horse stuff, mate. I just want to get into sort of, obviously, it's a big part of your job is controlling your weight and making sure you're in the best shape. What's some of the stuff you get up to away from horse racing to make sure you're in the best shape, mate?
Yeah, well, as you said, I do a fair bit of running, do a lot of cardio work because obviously our body strength is the key, but you don't want to build too much muscle. So weights, obviously, doing weights and stuff like that doesn't really work for jockeys. So just a lot of cardio, running, some light swimming, and obviously spend a lot of time in the bath sweating. So that's probably the biggest tool. You can keep your body as fit as you want, but you can only get down to a certain weight. And then usually the last 2.5 kilos is just sort of fluid. So I usually leave myself with about 2 kilos the night before, jump in the bath for 40 minutes, lose a kilo, and then do a kilo the morning on race day. So that's usually about what most jockeys do there.
What about your running, mate? I enjoy my running as well. I pride myself in knocking out 10K the best on a Sunday. That's the peak for me. I'm 100 kilos though, mate, so that 10K is tough for me. How many are you knocking out?
Yeah, no, 10's about enough for me as well. Out where I live, it's very hilly, so 10 pulls me up, especially – I do it with about a long sleeve top on and maybe 2 or 3 jackets as well. So got a lot of gear on to try and have a sweat. So it's running around in a T-shirt. I don't think I've ever done that in my whole life. One day when I'm not a jockey, hopefully I'll be able to.
I'm the opposite, mate. I'm running in budgie smugglers trying to take off as much kit as I can and as much weight as I can. We just lost the phone there for a bit there, Tommy.
Sorry, mate. Someone just tried to call. Sorry about that.
That's all right. All right, mate. So, 1 sec. I just got. We can. I had I got the plan of it here. 1 sec. Just pulling it up. All right. Let's get into the racing side of it, mate. The boys will chip in with some questions that they've got as well. You got close to a full card on the weekend. We'll knock straight into tomorrow's meeting. Straight away off the top of your head, I was looking at your card. Probably some of your better runs are coming late in the day, mate. But just in your opinion, which horse are you most looking forward to racing on tomorrow? And what's your best of the day, mate? If you can.
Yeah, I think Remark. Look, he's a very exciting horse. We had a very big opinion of him as a 2-year-old. Obviously, they all just turned 3 on the 1st of August, and he's come back really well. So we're very pleased with the way he's done his 2 trials, and he won really well at his first start at Rosehill there, and then just got a little bit crook. So he's running the top, and he probably wasn't at his best. In saying that, he still finished alongside Stay Inside, who come out, and eventually he was the winner of the Slipper. So that form holds up very well. And as I said, he's had 2 very nice trials leading into the weekend. So I'd be disappointed not to see him go close to winning. And I think Hulk a bit later on in the day as well. He's a lovely horse.
I'm looking forward to, mate.
He's very he's a very consistent type, and a lot of people have him probably tainted as a non-winner, but I just think a little bit like a horse, Blondo, I won on a couple of weeks ago for Chris Waller. He's a horse that needs a lot to go right for him in his races. He's got a very short turn of foot, so it's important for him to draw well and have things go right for him on the day. So if he gets all the luck, I think he can cross the line and break that losing streak that he's had for a little while.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm keen to talk a little bit more about Hulk after this, but Jimmy's pretty keen on Remark himself. You got any questions for Tommy with regards to Remark, Jim?
Yes, very keen on Remark, obviously for the reason you stated, like finishing in that Todman Stakes near 2 lengths off Enemo and the likes. I just think that form, that's like top echelon form there for those horses. And I reckon, yeah, he's one of the best bets of the day. And I noticed you didn't trial on him, but I noticed in the trials in the last one, they sat him off the speed and let him down. So I'm assuming that's how you're going to try ride him on the weekend for a bit of cover and then get him out late.
Yeah, definitely. Look, there's a lot of speed in that race tomorrow, so I don't think I'm going to have to try and get cover with him. I think that's just the way the race is going to pan out. He's got natural gate speed himself. He's a lovely big brute of a colt. He'll be one of the best looking horses in the yard, that's for sure. But no, the race tomorrow, there's an abundance of speed in there. I'd be more worried if it was at Rose Hill, because 1100s at Rose Hill, if you get back in the second half of the field, can make it pretty hard to run down. But with the meeting transferred to Randwick, the 1100 at Randwick is going to sit him down to the ground. And I think, as you said, with that Todman form, a lot of them horses out of the Todman and the Slipper, they're still probably 2 or 3 weeks off having a start, whether it's going to be in the Santa Monica or it might even be the Min Dynasty, or some of the fillies will go to the Silver Shadow. So this Rosebud comes a little bit earlier on in the season, and sometimes you don't get the best 2-year-olds out of those 2 big races. So that's why I think I'd be a little bit disappointed if you can't come out and beat these guys, because I don't, even though it's a great lineup, I don't think they're the best horses we've got going around.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Anything else with that, Jimmy? Are you happy with that? Just great.
That pretty much covers all bases. That's who I think's your best ride for the weekend. I was happy to hear you say that before we got into it.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I'm looking forward. Sorry, Tommy.
No, I said you get not a bad price about a horse like him either. I think he was.
He's still hovering above
$330. I couldn't believe it, given most of those horses are midweekers sort of thing coming into this, and just the form lines he's got going into it. It's just the $3.30. I can't see it holding up, but we'll be on that. That's for sure.
We'll be riding you, Tommy.
Yeah.
We'll be riding you.
Yeah, I'll be on the double, mate, because I'm also excited about Hulk. It's a horse that you've ridden before. Sort of a question that, I come from a rugby league background, and some of the guys that aren't, big punters, you've been on it before. I think Jimmy Max, he rode it on his last run, and then Avdallah had a couple of rides on it as well. I just want to know the thought process, just for a guy who's, probably not into his punting as much. How does all those conversations happen with regards to trainers and owners? Do you like, when you ride a certain horse, you have a good feel, because you've had some good success on it, had a couple of wins and a couple of seconds, like plenty of placings. What happens with those sorts of conversations, mate? And you must be looking forward to getting back on it this weekend.
Yeah, I am. Look, with horses, and especially with Chris Waller, Chris can, he usually plans his horses out and where they're going to run 2 weeks out. Say for 2 weeks' time, I'll get my rides sent through from all my trainers on the Monday.
Yep.
And that might be about 3 or 4 offers in each race. It could only be 1 offer. And then you've got to go through all those offers and see which ones you want to ride, and try and pick the best ones. Sometimes you're not picking the best one. You're just picking the one that you've had an association with. So Hulk, for instance, he's a horse that I've had a great association with, and I haven't ridden at his last few starts. I think at 1 or 2 of them starts there, I might have been in Queensland.
Yep.
And another one of them starts, I might have already had a ride in the race when I got offered Hulk. But as you said, I do have a good association with him. I think I've had 2 or 3 wins on him, and probably one of the only jockeys to win on him in recent, probably 12 to 18 months. So I understand him quite well. And as I said, he's one of those horses that you've got to sort of ride like you're not having a go, and keep him smothered up for as long as you can and have one last crack. And with those sort of horses, you can be open to a lot of criticism, because if they beat because they're unlucky,
find yourself in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, but in saying that, if you get all the dream splits, like I said with Blondo, he got a beautiful run in the box seat and got held up and got out late the other day, and you look like an absolute genius. So it's one or the other with a horse like Hulk, but when he gets it right, he's an exciting horse to ride, and he's got a very powerful turn of foot. So them horses always give you a bit of a buzz, and he's an absolute dude to ride as well.
Yeah, beautiful. We'll be cheering you home, mate. I'll be having a little bit on that. What about for the rest of the card, mate? Anything else that stands out for you? A couple of other ones with a bit longer odds?
Yeah, I think what else have we got there? The horse I'm on in the midway of Gary Portelli's Squanto. He's drawn a little bit awkward, but it's not going to worry him too much. He'll probably get back in the second half of the field, and he'll be finishing off nice and strong late. And the horse in the Missile Stakes of Michael Costas, he's a really nice horse. He's got a great record. Comes out of some easier form lines in Queensland and comes through that Ramornie form. But with a lot of these horses in that race tomorrow, like Colding, Colding's not going to be ready to go first up when he's got such a big campaign ahead. He's usually best suited when he's third up. And Chris Waller has said that George Main will be he's probably where he's at his best third up. A horse like Fasika, she's only had a couple of trials, but she looks the obvious danger. So a lot of these horses are only at the start of their campaign, where my horse, and that's probably why he's been kept safe in the market at $6, is because he's fit, he's there, ready to go, and he's going to get a good run from the gate. So even though he's probably not the best horse in the race, he's probably the horse with the best grounding and the best fitness on the day. So I wouldn't leave him out.
Yeah, love that. And I can see Jesse's frothing at the bit. You mentioned before, stay inside, Jess. We're going to talk a little bit about some of your other races come up in the Spring Carnival. Some of your horses that you've been riding that you're most looking forward to racing. Jess, you want to ask him a little bit about stay inside?
Yeah, so I'm a big. Oh, there we go, slipper. So I'm a
the trophy. The trophy's just here.
Trophy. Mate, I had you for the Punters Club as well. I declared it for the Punters Club, so they loved me, and I talked a big game too. So I'll give you a little story, Tommy. Basically, in my Punters Club, I come from a footy background, and I put up polls every now and again for big races, the slipper and whatnot. And actually, Stay Inside was voted second to win, but I end up going, fuck that. I'm the skipper. I'm the skipper of the SPC. I love Stay Inside, mate, and you fucking rode it peach. So, yeah, I love it, mate. But Jess, obviously, you want to talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so I was a massive fan of it even after his first maiden win, and I remember after its second run, I think J-Mac was on board that time. And I remember when he put him away with ease, I'm like, this horse has got that much natural untapped ability. I was like, it's gonna win this.
Yeah, he loaded up on the Todman.
I loaded in the Todman too, and I was like,
which worked out good because you got better odds Golden Slipper Day.
Yeah, exactly. Ended up.
When you were on it in the slipper, I remember your report come out how adamant you were, how good the horse naturally was after a trial, little track gallop. And I was telling everyone, he's going to beat Profiteer. I was like, it's going to burn him. So I want to know, because I noticed you did a trial on him the other day. How's he progressing?
Yeah, he's come back really well. It's always a worry. Well, it's not a worry, but it's something that you do worry about when good 2-year-olds go out, especially from a slipper. They've obviously had a long campaign, a tough campaign, and then they've got to come back as a 3-year-old and perform again. And some 2-year-olds come back the same as they left. They don't mentally strengthen and they don't, grow up. It's pretty much like the old saying, go out like a boy and come back like a man. And that's what you want them to do. And, I've ridden a lot of 2-year-olds over the year. I've ridden a lot of good ones, and they come back at 3 and they're just not the same. Some of them other 2-year-olds that probably weren't as good as them as 2, they've strengthened, developed, and probably overtaken them. But not with this guy. I've ridden him in a few track gallops. I rode him last Tuesday morning, and he was always very thick and quite well put together with his back end. He was very powerful, but sort of when you got closer to the front, his shoulders and his neck, he was always a little bit narrow, but he's really filled out since he's come back in and he's had that little break. And He's a very well put together colt. He's still very light on his feet, and his trial the other day, it was pretty exciting.
There were some good horses in that too.
So. There were, and a few of them go around on the weekend. But no, he's still. I rode him on Tuesday morning, and I said to Michael Freeman, he feels like he could run on the weekend, so he's ready to go. We've just got to keep him ticking along now till he'll run in the San Domenico. And from the San Domenico, he's got two options. He could obviously run in the Run to the Rose and the Golden Rose, or if he comes out and wins really well and shows his brilliance in the San Domenico, he could head towards something like a Premier into an Everest. So he's got a few options there. But
would that be the ideal grand final for him, mate? Sorry, just cutting you off. The Everest is Golden Rose. The Everest would that be the go?
Well, the Golden Rose is worth it. No, the Everest is worth a lot more. So I'd rather him go that way. But look, he's a stallion now, and he's obviously a Group 1 winning stallion. He's well bred himself, so he's a very valuable colt. I think he's worth about 30 to 40 million. So it's all about protecting that value now. So he'll go where he's best suited. Obviously, the Golden Rose is 1,400, but where the Everest is 1,200 against the older horses. So he'd have to win pretty well, say in a San Domenico, and really put his hand up to say, look, I'm the right horse to take to the Everest. Otherwise, he's got plenty of other options there. You've still got a Coolmore, which is 1,200 metres down the straight in Melbourne. So for them good 3-year-olds, there's a lot of options. And as I said, it's more about protecting his value, so keeping him on a winning strike rate, and hopefully he does that, because it means it'll be a nice spring for everyone.
Heavy pockets for you too, eh?
Heavy pockets. I've got 4 kids. The money doesn't last too long.
So will you be sticking with him, Tommy? Just like to quickly ask.
Oh, look, I think sticking with horses that have only had one preparation round, especially when they go from 2 to 3, as I said, they've got to come back and do it. So I usually like to take it from just a run-to-run sort of basis, and I think that's important for 2 reasons, and that's being if the horse doesn't come up and doesn't run as well as I expect or hope so, I can look for another ride. And then the same with the owners and the trainers. If I give him a sore back on 1 or 2 occasions at his first couple of starts, well, they can get rid of me and find a new jockey. So I think it's important just to not lock or look too far ahead. We just get the first run out of the way. Hopefully he performs well, and so do I, and we can move forward from there.
Anything else, Jess? You happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that, Skip.
Mate, Tommy, I know you just said you don't want to look too far ahead, but are there any other horses in the Spring Carnival that you've got a bit of association with that you wouldn't mind riding coming into the Spring Carnival, mate? Like something that you'd be pretty keen and you think's a big chance of winning in some of the bigger races?
Yeah, look, I'm going to ride Mwanga in the Wink Stakes. He's
another one of my favourites.
Yeah, he's a really nice horse. He's come back well, Annabelle said. So I'm excited to see where he'll go. He's got a few options. He could go like somewhere. He could finish up in an Epsom and a Golden Eagle, or he could go down to Melbourne for the Cox Plate. I'm not sure what James McDonald's going to do, whether he's going to ride Zaki or Very Elegant. But if he chooses to ride Very Elegant, I'm a good chance of riding Zaki. So none of that's locked down, but I'll definitely be in the running to ride him. Forbidden Love. She's come back well. She'll head towards that new $2 million mares race. As I said, I ride Remark on the weekend, so it'll be good to see how he lines up against some of the other 3-year-olds. And then you've got horses like Mount Papa, he'll start off in the Wink Stakes as well, so I'll miss out on him at his first start because I'll be in Mwanga, but he'll head towards a Caulfield Cup. And Master Crusaders not far from coming back in. He's heading towards an Everest as well. So there's plenty of nice horses around. Hopefully they don't all end up in the same races and they don't clash. But it's an exciting time ahead because you don't know what's in store and you don't know how they've all come back. But they're all starting to hit the trials now. So I really can't wait.
Isn't Zaki the horse that you declared for our futures not too long ago, Jimmy? So you're nodding your head. You're hoping Tommy gets a ride on Zaki when the time comes right for the Cox Plate?
Yeah, so I nominated Zaki on our futures a couple months ago for the Cox Plate. I just thought he's the fresh horse on the scene. I just think he's got that style to roll along at the Valley. And then I just think he'll have too much of a start on Very Elegant. And I don't if he runs up to that third up rating he did in Brisbane, that was Winks like rating. So I don't see how if they set him to peak third up for the Cox Plate, I don't see how anything can beat him if he backs that up.
Yeah, well, good story with him. I actually got offered to ride him when he first come to Sydney, and I chose to ride a different horse when he got beat at Randwick there, and then got offered the ride to go to Brisbane and ride him again. But I chose to stay here and try and win the premiership. So I ended up without the ride on Jockey and still didn't win the premiership. So it was a costly decision I made there. But who knows? I might get back.
Yeah, J-Mac got him in Queensland.
Yeah, he ended up on Queensland, but you win some, you lose some, and there you go. James got Zark and he won the premiership, so he got everything.
Yeah, good, mate. Well, that's a great story. We've sort of been looking ahead. Jimmy wants to talk about a couple of your past races. I just want to ask you, like I said at the top of the podcast, 30 Group 1 wins. We talked a little bit about staying inside. Is there anyone that sort of stands out for you, mate, throughout your career in 30 of the best?
Yeah, I think I think I'd have to say the offer winning the Sydney Cup. That was only I think a month after my brother passed away, so that was pretty special. And when my brother was crook, I was actually flying to and from Singapore to be by Nathan's bedside and flying back to ride the offer in his lead-up races, and he won the 2 lead-up races to the Sydney Cup and took out that as well. So that was a pretty special moment for me, obviously, and winning the Golden Slipper on Overreach, having Nathan there, that was a special moment. And then how could you forget the third TJ Smith with Chautauqua? That was pretty special and one that we see on replays very often. He's part of Cop Chasers now in their ads and Spinefield and
hope he's keeping it safe, mate. COVID
safe. I had to educate the missus as to who you were on the show today, and we
had the 2017 TJ Smith up,
and she's like, "Which one is he? That one."
The one that's
I've got a mate who's not meant to be punting, and he said, "Oh, by the way," and I haven't met his family yet. He lives in Queensland, and he said, "Oh, by the way, if my missus asks, you played fullback for the West Tigers." I said, "Why is that?" He said, he said my son was jumping on the trampoline the other day and he was calling out Tommy Berry's name, and she said, "Who's Tommy Berry?" He said, "If I said you're a jockey, she would have killed me." So I said, "Oh, he plays fullback for the West Tigers." So just giving you the heads up if you're ever in Queensland.
How good, mate. Before we let him go, Jim, you want to talk about Grey Flash, mate?
Yeah, I want to just go into that TJ Smith, and I just want to. I know it was 5 years ago almost, but I just want to know what was going through your head, 400 or even 300 out when you were still last, trying to get him to chase him down, and what was it actually like on the back of him once he got going? Because it's the best, hands down, the best race I've ever watched, the best race call. I just want to know what your thoughts were during the run, because you had about 12 lengths to make up or more, and you did it with ease in the end.
Yeah, no, look, I still, the hair's raising on the back of my neck now just thinking about it. He's that finish, and I'm not too big on going back and watching replays of winning big races, because I feel like you can get caught up in the past, and you really got to look to the future in this game. Otherwise, you get left behind. But I've got to say that's one replay I've watched 100 times over, because out there when I was riding him, I felt like I had him covered at the 300, which is quite weird. I felt like I had the race won, and I knew Chautauqua so well. It was like a V8, slowly going through his gears, and I always knew when he'd found his top, and I knew I was a long way off his top. I knew where English was. I knew how much ground I had to make up, but I was always confident when riding him. He knew where the line was. He knew how to get the job done. The 1200 at Randwick was his peak. And when I peeled out at the 350, I could feel him going through his gears. And even though he lets down with such a quick burst, and he's got a good turn of foot, it always felt like it was in slow motion for me. He's got such a big stride on him. It always felt like it was happening slowly, but for everyone else, it was happening so fast. And I remember coming in and saying to Michael, he goes, "Were you shitting yourself at any stage?" And I said, "Oh, not really." He goes, "When did you think you had it run?" One. I saw around somewhere around the top of the straight, and he said, "You're fucking." Anyway, it wasn't until I went back and watched the replay and saw how far off him I was and saw how much work I had to do. I felt like an idiot even saying that. I felt like I hadn't covered. It's amazing when you're on a horse like him or a horse like Winks. You feel like you're the only horse in the race, and you always feel like you got the race won. So he was a very special animal, one that I'll probably struggle to find that can, do what he did on a racetrack. And it was just so exciting because he always did it from the back. You're always wondering if he was going to be able to win. So,
yeah.
So no, he was pretty good.
Yeah, because you overcome a huge track bias that whole day as well. You only horse to run on like that and win, which made it even more special. But because you trialed him as well when he just stopped jumping.
Yeah, no, he had a mind of his own, which we all come to know. He was very a very fickle sort of horse. He was very much a loner. He didn't like being bothered over too much. He just wanted to be left alone, and that's why I guess he liked racing at the back in his races and coming with that one run. And he was such an intelligent horse. And I think when it got down to the end, and he had that race at Moonee Valley where he kicked the barriers and didn't start. He got scratched that day and went home. He's one of them horses that he left everything out on the track. So he'd pull up the next day. He was flat. He was buggered. He was probably sore, like anyone competing in a grand final. And then he got home after Moonee Valley after not racing, and he got a feed, got a water. He's a very intelligent horse. He probably thought to himself, how good's this? I've gone to the races, come home, didn't have to race. I feel great, had a feed. Like, why would you want to go out and bust your gut, So he won 9.8 million in prize money, which is incredible. But when he figured out that he didn't have to do it anymore, and he still got a nice feed and still got looked after and still got loved, I think he thought that was the end, because every time we jumped him out at home at track work, he'd jump like a gazelle. He'd jump every single time. You jumped him out at the farm, he'd jump. And then you get to the trials or race day when it was business end, and he just didn't want to be a part of it. So, what made him so good is probably what worked against us in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was one thing we wanted to ask as well, Jockey's relationship with horses, because personally, I thought you got the best out of Chautauqua. Like, did you feel that way as well? Because obviously, Dunn rode him a few times, but I just thought you got the best out of that horse. Like, was there something you had with him that?
Yeah, I guess, jockeys just feel, they build a bond with a horse. And I just left him alone all the time. I never asked him to do anything he didn't want to do. And I guess I had that confidence and belief in the horse. So it didn't matter. Like Hong Kong, I think I was, 5-6 lengths out the back at the start. And not once did I ask him to chase. I just left him alone. Had a lot of belief in his ability and what he was able to do on a racetrack. And I think he enjoyed that about me, that I didn't, I never got him out of his comfort zone, never upsetted him. And that's nothing against the other guys that rode him. It was just the way I rode him and the way I got along with him. And there's plenty of horses I've ridden in the past that I don't get along well with. And there's plenty of horses that I ride that I've gotten off before and said, this is a horse that a girl would really suit, because girls are a lot nicer than guys. They're a lot more passionate, that's for sure. And horses really react to them. And we've seen that with plenty of female riders over the years, but Jamie Carr's been one that's been massive, and they've just got an affinity with horses. So a lot of horses like female riders as well. A lot of them like male riders. So, I think, every horse is different, and sometimes it takes a while to find their right rider. But when you do build an association with them, like, you can't tell me anyone else would have won that many races on Winks, bar Hugh Bowman. I know I had 2 rides on her, and I won once and got beat on her the other time. So even though she was so good, I was only able to get the job done once. But she obviously had that association, that affinity with Huey. And so I think every good horse has one.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I remember when Huey did an interview with Matty Johns, he mentioned there was someone criticizing he wasn't patting Winks after she won, I think it was the Queen Elizabeth. And he was saying on the Matty Johns show that she just wants to be left alone. Like she doesn't want that affection. Like she's just there to do a job. And
yeah, but she was female as well. So female horses are like females in general. We don't know. We never know what they want, do we?
Yeah, I still haven't figured that out, mate.
I was going to say you make a good jockey, Juzzy.
All right, Jess, Jimmy, Jess, you got anything else for Tommy before we let him go?
One last question, Tommy. 8 diamonds on the weekend. I was I've been following it this prep since it's been back, and yeah, what's your thoughts on its chances this weekend? It's obviously drawn horrible, but
yeah, look, she's a very smart filly or mare, and she's got a lot of ability, but her attitude lets her down a little bit. She's a tough one to ride. She can go very keen, as we saw last start over the 1400, where she pulled very hard and just didn't finish off the race. But when she has everything going in her favour, like the start before at Canterbury, she's very explosive. So she's a horse that isn't really consistent because she needs things to go right for in a race, like we spoke about with Hulk earlier on. So she's drawn awkward, but the awkward gate doesn't worry me too much because it means I'll be able to get her into a nice rhythm, keep her happy. If she wants to go a little bit harder, I can let her slide forward a little bit. But look, she's either going to go out and win, or she'll run that 3rd, 4th, 5th sort of spot. She's a hard horse to ride. Definitely not the easiest one. She'll probably be my hardest ride of the day, but she's probably one of the better horses I'm going to ride on the day. So I couldn't back her with confidence, but she's one of those, if you back her every start, you're going to end up on top.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks for that, Tommy.
Oh, that's unreal, Tommy. Mate, some great information and some great stories there for us. We've already had a couple of little plays at some of the horses that you're on tomorrow. I think I'll have a couple more plays after this chat, mate. But appreciate you waiting for us a bit early on, and good luck tomorrow, mate.
Thanks, boys, and hopefully go well on the weekend. Otherwise, it might be the last time. There we go.
We'd love to have you back, mate.
Cheers. I couldn't go any worse than I am on here anyway. So
yeah, you can't go any worse than Jimmy, mate. And hopefully Jimmy hasn't declared anything for you tomorrow. We're about to get into that.
You might get a
great job, boys, and I appreciate you having me on the show, and all the best for the future.
You're a legend, Tommy. Thanks, mate.
Cheers,
Take
boys.
care. Thanks, mate.
Yeah.